I love Facebook. And I got to say, it pays a lot better than TikTok. Facebook has been awesome. I have 30,000 followers in 2 months. I think I'm averaging about 8 million views a month right now. In 1 month, I'm making more than I'm making on TikTok my entire lifespan. It's literally the best time to be a creator because everybody is competing and they all want to pay you to be on their platform.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to My Social Life. I'm your host, Jacob Kelly. As always, today's podcast is powered by Surf. And this is the podcast where we teach you how to grow on social media by talking to people who have actually done it. People like Jordan Sanford, who's over 1.3 million followers on TikTok. And I cannot be more excited to have you here on the podcast today. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Super stoked to be doing this.
I'm excited to have you here. Where I want to start, I want to get a little bit of a background on you before we really kind of dive into TikTok. So from my understanding, you went to school for graphic design, right?
Yeah, that's true. I actually never graduated. I think I have 12 credits left and I dropped out.
What led to you dropping out? Was it like the start when you started your own company? Because I know you started Sanford Social, right? So like, was that the impetus that led to you dropping out?
I was commuting to school. I was working as a server, bartender, promoter for some local restaurants, and I just didn't see the passion in graphic design anymore. In my opinion, graphic design was like you either have to be like the best to get like the best job ever, and I wasn't the best. I was good at marketing and good at graphics, but I wasn't the best. So I was like, I need to figure out a way to just transition this.
Okay. And so ultimately, is that what led to you starting your company? Was realizing the passion was kind of gone? You had a knack for marketing. Is that kind of where that was born out of?
Actually, I got hired by this printing company in Cleveland, and the owner was like, "Hey, dude, like I don't need you full time anymore. Why don't you just start your own business and like have me as a client?" And I was like, "That's a really good idea." So yeah, he was kind of the start of that.
Okay. And then so after that was your first, because now you primarily deal with luxury car companies, correct? With
Yeah,
the
correct.
business?
Yeah.
And so how did you go from this printing company to your first luxury car company being Porsche? I think Porsche North Olmsted, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So the owner of the dealerships was at the time Bernie Moreno, and he's a big political figure in Cleveland. But he he is notorious for owning luxury cars and owning the dealerships, and he also owned part of the printing company I was with. And he was like, "Hey, don't tell the other guy, but come in for an interview. I want you to run all my stuff." And I was like, "Okay." And then I felt like real like sketched out about the whole thing. He's like, "Dude, what would the price be to run all my stuff?" And he had like, I think there's like 10 plus dealerships at the time to run. And I was like, "Dude, I need this much money. I need like 5 employees." And he's like, "I can't do it." But then Porsche North Olmsted who's under the branch of Bernie Moreno. He was like, "Hey, I heard you were here. Why don't you just run mine to start?" And I was like, "Okay, cool, let's do it."
So how long ago was that? And like how big has the business gotten today?
So that was probably 4+ years ago. And scaling has been actually pretty tough. We I figure I don't really own a business in that sense. It's more like my mind and me personally. I've had employees, they've done good work, but it's nothing to what I want them to be for the companies that I'm running. So I've only been able to really scale to what I can make happen. If I can run the account or do the content for or whatever. So it's been COVID was great. Everybody just kind of dropped out all at once, but luckily the dealership stayed. And that's kind of where I was like, I don't really want many more people than the dealerships. I don't want any other companies. It's just stretching me too thin. So that's where we are.
I relate to that 100%. Like I had a company as well for like my own like company, right? Where it was like, I was me and that was the company, you know what I mean? So I was in a similar situation to where you were. And so now you've kind of found this niche with the luxury car dealerships. When did you start creating content for yourself? Like I'm sure like over time, like just being in that environment with all these cars, like there was gonna be pictures and stuff posted, but like when did the shift go from just being the social media manager to being a content creator yourself?
Yeah, so I was always adamant about never using my clients for personal growth. I was very I was very adamant about that, but there was a shift when TikTok started to become this thing, and I'm like, hey, why don't I run your TikTok as like a conglomerate of all the dealerships in one? Because there's no way I'm running like 7 TikToks. And they were like, no. And that's when Rolls Royce was actually like, hey, you cannot start a TikTok on behalf of the dealership. We don't condone that. There was a lot of like, it's a Chinese company, and there's this and that, and nobody knew what was going on. And so I actually created one as Rolls Royce Cleveland and grew it to like 100,000 followers, and was like, hey, you guys can pay me for this, or I'm going to just change it to my name. And so I just changed it to my name. And 9 months later, we went from 100 to a million.
Wow, that's wild. So it started as the Mercedes Cleveland account, and then
Rolls Royce, yeah.
or sorry, Rolls Royce. Sorry, my
Yeah.
mistake. Rolls Royce Cleveland, and then you switched to your account at 100K. Was that a tough switch for you for the account being that everyone's used to seeing Rolls Royce stuff, but now you're kind of on screen, you're doing stuff like was that a kind of like a hurdle you had to overcome in the beginning when it went under your name?
No, actually, I was experimenting. Think I changed it to me and a dog, me and my dog. I changed it to me and like my family. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just experimenting, just throwing all these different videos out there, seeing what sticks. My first viral video was me pulling on the Spirit of Ecstasy of the Rolls Royce, and the chain smokers commented on the video because I used their song in the background, and they were like, "Hey, cool! What song is that? And who sings it, or something like that?" And I was like, wow, this is super powerful. Like I just got in front of the chain smokers, and that's super cool. So yeah, it was tough at first until I really started to kind of transition into my own style, where I didn't even know where I was going, but I was learning along the way of like how to do it. And luckily it worked out.
No, absolutely. So like how would you describe your style then?
Back then or now?
Let's go back then and how it's different and how now and how it's different from back then.
Okay. Yeah. Back then was more like a walk around of the car, showing, putting music to it, 15, 20, 30 seconds, nothing crazy. No, it's kind of boring. I was actually just looking at my videos yesterday from like back then. I'm like, wow, it took me like 7 seconds to get to like anything cool about this car. I'm like, wow, how did this get any sort of views? But now my style is like this very ASMR style. I didn't know it at the time, but I always looked at, I looked at my friend Forrest Car Reviews, Forrest Auto. He's a mogul in TikTok cars, and him like, I can't be him. Like he's such a brilliant car reviewer for TikTok and short video platforms, but I don't want to be that. Like there's already great people, Supercar Blondie, for instance. And I was like, okay, I also don't like to be in front of the camera. How do I how do I show a car without talking, without being in front of the camera, but still do something cool? And actually, the first thing that came in was the new Porsche GT3. Everybody was waiting this. The Porsche fan base is like ridiculous. They are. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but they are a cult, and they ride or die together. And so we get this GT3 that comes in, and it's all wrapped up. And I go, I'm just gonna unwrap this. And I knew how to like edit and stuff, so I peeled it off, and on my personal Instagram, it gets 30 million views. I was like, wait, I went from 2,000 followers to 20,000 in like 3 or 4 days on Instagram. And on Instagram, it's super hard to grow, in my opinion. And so I was like, okay, posted on TikTok, got like 14 million. Okay, I got a style now. Like, I'm just going to unwrap cars. And so I kind of took the unwrapping. I was like, okay, I could probably do this like touch feel sensory type thing, um, for my style. And I've got a lot of people who love it, and people who comment, people who are like, that car is going to be pregnant in 9 months, and it sparks a lot of conversations, and I love it. So, and it gets me kind of in my comfort zone, and being able to do what I want to do without like talking.
Talk to me about kind of building a fan base then without talking. Because that's something you can do with TikTok that you couldn't really do previously to an extent. Like, well, maybe not necessarily not talking, but not being on camera at all and not talking. Before TikTok, that was tough to do. So, how do you kind of establish a connection, a relationship with people on TikTok without really being on camera as much or talking a ton?
Yeah, that's I love that question. And I actually kind of feel like I do a little bit of both now. But I was doing my ASMR videos, but then I'd go live on TikTok with like me and my son. I have a super flexible schedule. I make my own hours. I do what I want. Uh, my wife would be at work, and I've got my son. We didn't have a babysitter. I'm like, let's just go TikTok live, and so I'd get there and get a couple hundred viewers, or at times a couple thousand viewers, and people would start like, oh, and then they go to my account and they're like, wait, you have nothing to do with your son on this page. And it was kind of like this kind of balance. And then I started adding my son, and my wife has done a couple of videos as well. And I'm starting to transition from fans, or from followers to fans, uh, especially across all platforms. I think that's the biggest hurdle, but that's the one you have to make happen if you're going to make it on social media.
Mhm. And so kind of like how hearing you kind of talk about that, how you went live and stuff, it's finding other ways to showcase your personality that might not necessarily be directly related to the content you're doing in the feed. So like you went live and you have your son in there, so, and then maybe your Instagram stories, but like the feed, they know what they're coming for in the feed, which is these car videos, unwrapping cars. But if you started posting a lot of family videos, it probably wouldn't resonate as well. But doing it in a slightly different context with a live, or like with an Instagram story or something, that's another way to incorporate it that feels a little bit more organic. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then when I posted I posted this Aston Martin DBX SUV with my wife, my dog, my baby, and we're in this photo studio. So any movement or any sound is like echoed. And this video, I think now has like 32 million views or something. But my wife shuts the door. Well, it sounds like she slams the door. So instantly, people are like, "Hey, tell your tell your wife, tell your girlfriend, tell that lady, stop slamming the doors of this nice car." And it sparked this whole like this video to go viral. And that kind of also was like, "Hey, what's that dog? Oh, who's that baby? Oh, everything like that." And then I'd have her show me as well. Again, not me talking, me just like setting my baby in the car seat, or shutting the door or something like that.
You said we went 0 to 100, then you took over. You went 100 to a million, and what was the time frame? 9 months, did you say?
Yeah, roughly about 9 months.
What did you do then in that 9 months that allowed you to 10x that account?
I went hard. I mean, I really went hard. I posted, and I actually just had a meeting with TikTok, and I'm in this like creator growth program with them, and we were going through analytics a little bit, and they're like, you post an average of one per day, which actually is less than when I was like going super hard. I was posting probably two or three, four times a day without even knowing it either. Like, because this was all new to me, I was like creating content for my clients, for the dealerships, but at the same time I was creating all this content for myself. So I had so much content. I was like, create post, create post, create post. And we'd get like 8 cars in, and I'd be like, screw it. Let's just let it rip and see what works. So I was going really, really hard. Just trying to, I was like, I need to make this a living for my family, and social media is so, it's like this, right? And how do you have a stable life, a stable work, money, everything when you're doing socials? I was like, I don't have a chance to fail. There's zero chance. So that's what I did.
So one of the biggest things you'd attribute your growth to, especially in the beginning, was just like once you kind of figured out what worked, like it was those unwrap videos. Once you had that figured out, it was just volume. That's kind of what like one of the bigger things.
Yeah. So I talked to my buddy Mark in LA, and he's kind of like my my confidant. He's my mentor, if you will, on a lot of content stuff. And I remember a couple years ago, I was like, if you're going to start social, like, how do you grow? He's like, you have to literally be different than everybody else. And how many car reviews are out there in the world? I associate that as like, or cooking videos or fitness videos. How do you be different than everybody else? I just happen to hate talking in front of the camera. Um, so that made me different already. I live in Cleveland, Ohio. I have a family. I'm not in Miami or New York or LA. And so I was posting these videos super just raw, organic, and like true to myself. And people just loved it. So I would say a lot of videos, but like mostly the unique style.
So how would somebody like what would your advice be to someone who's trying to figure out what their unique style is? Because for you, it was very much like this you just leaned into who you are as a person. So maybe that's the advice, but like what would you say to someone who's trying to figure out how to be unique on social media?
My best all right. The best advice I would give is you have to be able to produce a lot of content all the time in order to go into social media if that's what you want to do. So first of all, I think you have to find what you know or what you're good at. Whether it be podcasts or cars or cooking, whatever it might be, and then taking kind of a glance at everybody else's content, looking at them like I said, I looked at Forrest, I looked at Supercar, Blondie, I looked at a bunch of other people, and I go, this is cool, but not me. And then you really just have a chat with yourself, and you're like, okay, cool. Let me just test a bunch of different shit and see what works and see what makes you happy at the same time. Like if I was posting videos just like Forrest, and I was like taking 4 hours to create each one, and I hated it, it probably wouldn't have grown that much.
What are some mistakes you made along the way? Like this is what you did well, you posted a lot, you figured out what works for you, but what are some of the mistakes you made?
Oh man, that's a great question. I feel like I make a mistake every single day. I would say I can't really pinpoint a specific mistake, but I do know that some videos go super crazy. Some are pretty tame. 30, 40,000 views. I would associate that with me not understanding my content as good as I should, um, or because I'm going to blame myself first versus the algorithm. Everybody blames the algorithm, and it's such a cop out. But I think that's my mistake is not knowing my content as well as I should.
How do you learn about your own content better?
Study. I mean, I'm on this stupid thing all day, every day, and I feel like I'm like refreshing. I look at my analytics on this, on that. I look at every little thing, but still, like when I had the meeting with TikTok, I'm like, oh, I didn't realize watch time was the biggest thing. I didn't, excuse me, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that the percentage of people who finish your video, it means a lot. There's so much that goes into it that now I'm kind of understanding when I see some of these trends pop up. I'm like, now I understand kind of where the trends come from because they understand the algorithm. It's the 7 seconds with a bunch of text on the screen, right? So you have to read it twice. So you're rewatching the video. I'm like, makes sense.
And so how do you, with your account specifically, how do you kind of tie in the trends, right? Because you have a very specific style that's unique to you. Like you said, sometimes incorporating a trend might not make the most sense. Like how are you able to capitalize on those with your account?
I think I've done two trends. Like I think I've literally done two trends. This one guy who was talking about his shoes, and he said, I've got these, and these. I go, okay, that's really cool because I work at a dealership and I can say, and it got 100 some thousand views. It was great. I'm not a hop on a trend guy. I like to start trends, not hop on them. So unless it is one, if my friend makes it, then I'll do it. Two, if it just like is so abundantly clear that I should make this video, then I'll do that too. But 99.9% is my own content.
That's good though, because I feel like you hear a lot of people who say, if you want to grow on TikTok, do the trends, use the songs, do all these things, but you're proof that you can also do it being yourself and not doing all the trends, because I think the trends will only get you so far and they don't build a brand because it's just a recycled content type. So it doesn't build the same type of
Yeah,
brand.
that's kind of my thing on these, but these like hype houses, I feel like all they do is just jump on trends and they post the trends and then people go crazy over it. Then they like help the trend kind of go further. And I'm like, there's no substance to the videos, to me, in my opinion. And when you're just doing a trend, I'm like, so you're able to like act on a script. You weren't creating your own ideas. I love innovative ideas. For instance, like I want to pronounce his name right, but Lee Kaut, he does these like he pretends he's Justin. His last one, he pretends he's Justin Bieber. Then he's like the producer. Then he's this, and it is so fascinating to me because I can see kind of how his mind is working throughout the whole video, and I'm like, I love it. I love everything about it because I can see him working. And if you can put effort into the content creation, then like that's what a good video for me is.
No, 100%. I think with the trends and stuff, like it's also an easier way to get views, right? Because there's an existing audience for that specific video that you're going to make, but sometimes you got to figure out what you want to be known for, right? Like you don't want to just be known as the person that does all the trends.
I kind of been going through that myself. Is what do you want to be known as? I actually thought it was funny. I was at a local car show and I didn't get recognized one time, zero. And I was like, this is crazy to me. And not that I want to get recognized. That's not what I'm here for. But it was interesting to me. I'm like, man, I got 1.3 million followers. I've got, my YouTube is starting to go crazy. My Instagram is doing okay. My Facebook's great. I've got 33 million likes or something like that. I know somebody from Cleveland, Ohio has seen my content, right? Like I know, but like you said, if you don't show your face as much, they can't associate with you. So that's the problem I'm having right now.
Because for you too, like you're 6'8", are you not?
I'm 6'8". I'm as tall as LeBron James. That's the only thing that separates us is that he's a good basketball player. And like a couple dollars.
Yeah, but I think you've done this series a couple times, which probably gets your face on there a little bit. It's like, can a 6'8" guy fit in this car?
Yeah.
Is that like something you're going to do more of to kind of like, that's an easy way where you don't have to talk, but people see you, you know what I mean?
I like the video idea, but I've seen this other guy, I forget his name, but something Bo. He's like 7'1" and he walks around and he kind of does the whole tall aspect. So I feel like when I'm doing these videos, I'm like not as authentic as I should be. And I don't know. I feel like they get kind of corny. So like, so I don't know. Maybe I should do more. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. But some of them have done well. Some of them have flopped. So
fair enough. But you just said that 1.3 million people follow you. Do you ever like stop and think about just how big that number is?
I do, and I also think the reverse of that. I think getting 1 million followers on TikTok isn't that hard. Not to say it's easy, but it isn't that hard. The TikTok algorithm, the way if you can execute on content, if you could come up with an idea and you can execute it 300 more times, you're going to grow your account. And so going from 1 million to 5 million is like the feat, right? And that's kind of where my goal is. That's my intention, to just keep growing this thing. But in my opinion, 1.3, yes, it's a lot, but it's never enough.
So is it like imposter syndrome almost? Like that feeling, like should I have this 1.3 million followers? Like, is it really a lot in the grand scheme of TikTok? Like, is that something you deal with?
Yeah. So it's funny. I hope this answers the question. But my wife, when my first brand deal comes through, I'm like stoked, right? I'm like, holy crap. They gave me a budget. I didn't even have to negotiate. This is what it was. And she's like, you're getting paid this much money for a 45-second video that takes you 3 minutes to make. And I'm like, yeah, this is crazy. Like, what? Like, this doesn't even make sense. But it's because of the audience and it's so curated and it's so highly targeted now. But at the time, I was like, either brands have way too much money to just throw out there, or I'm not understanding my value yet. And I think that maybe it was a little bit of both, but
And so now, like, do you, when working with, is it a tough situation to be working with brands when you get access to all these cars through the job, like as a social media, like with as social media clients, like, is that a fine line you have to walk?
yeah, it is 100%. And that was kind of the biggest thing in the beginning, right? Where it's how do I how do I grow my brand and not have it seen that I'm just taking advantage of my clients? They want to see growth. They want to see. I mean, I have I've grown exponentially more than my clients, but I'm a brand. I'm a personality. I'm a brand, right? Now it's getting to the point where I cross post with my clients, and they are extremely happy with that, and they want to see it because now their audience is growing, my audience is growing, and everybody's kind of a win-win. And I would be nothing without my clients. I mean, I'll shout them out. North Homestead, uh, they are everything to me right now. And so everything I do is to try to make them better, without ever crossing that line. But I've had conversations with them about that. Yeah.
So is there ever like, because you said it's like you're doing co-posts on Instagram now, you're talking about?
Yeah. We'll do a cross post. Yeah. And, especially with the unwrapping videos, after the first one got 30 million, I got brought into Porsche and they were like, hey, um, can you maybe tag us or like do something? I was like, first of all, I had no idea. I had 2,000 followers. Like, I didn't know this was going to hit 30 million views, right? Second of all, every video that I do, I'll cross post with you guys. Not a problem at all. And, we've got a video, another unwrapping video. It's got like 2.5 million, and it's been going great. So
Can you tell when a post is going to do well? Like, is there like some early signs, like this many views in the first 10 minutes or something, where you see that and you're like, oh, this video is about to go off?
yes and no. There's two videos that I've posted. One recent, one earlier, is that I was like, I'm never going to post this video. And they blew up like viral. And I was like, okay, what am I not seeing? I've also had posts where I'm like, "Oh, this car is so cool. Like, everybody's going to love it." And it flops. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I shot I was over at Manhattan Motor Cars in Manhattan, New York City. And uh, there was a $4 million cyan Lamborghini. Never seen it before. Crazy, like super rare. And it got like, it did well, a couple 100,000 views. I just unwrapped a $45,000 Dodge Charger, and it's got 3+ million views. So it's like, one, the price always doesn't always matter. Um, some unwrapping videos have flopped too. It it's super tough. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, this is gonna kill. And usually what I do is I wait till overnight. So I'll post it during the day, and then usually overnight I can tell if it's gonna do well or not. And I'm at the point to where I don't care anymore, because I think I'm gonna get shirts that say this. It's gonna say, now what? Because if it gets 10 million or 10, there's no difference in what I'm going to be doing next. I'm still going to create more content. I'm still going to go to the next car. I'm still going to do other stuff. So it's like, cool, 10 million. Now what? Right. Like, what are you going to do? That's my whole thing. And I always preach that. I'm like, they're like, oh, I have clients like, oh, I want to get like 1 million views. And I'm like, cool. Then I'm like, then what? What are you going to do with those? What is it? You have to have a plan. And so, yeah, that's my biggest thing. Is like, it's cool and all, but like, if you can't capitalize it, then who cares?
And what's the plan for you right now then?
Man, to make this my full-time career, I mean, it is my full-time thing, but to really make it big in terms of being financially stable for my entire family. My son and my wife. Oh, excuse me, I'm gonna get choked up here. My son and my wife are my top priority. So I want to make sure that they are taken care of. And there's so much money to be made on social media now. I don't want that to come off sounding like I'm in it just for the money. I love content creation. I love brand building. I love that this is like an avenue that I'm like, never would have imagined this is what I would be doing. I was always on the other side. Like, how do I get this influencer to be a part of this brand or this and that? And now I'm like the influencer, which I don't like to even say. But yeah, that's the goal. I want to work with really dope brands. I want to make a lot of money and I want to provide a lot of value.
That's awesome. And how do you get there? What's the roadmap?
I wish I could. I wish I could tell you. I could tell you where I've gone so far. Right. I talk to, like I said, I've got like a team of people that I kind of confide in, and I go like, what's next? Like vlogs or this or that, and they're like, whatever you're doing now is clearly working. Just keep doing it. Which is such like bullshit advice at the same time, like great advice. It's like, hey, you've already done great. You're already getting brand deals. You're already doing this. You're already, getting viral videos. So like, why would you switch it up? And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is why switch it up? But the whole thing is how to get the followers and the fans. That's why started YouTube and doing vlogs. I hired his name's Tyler. I hired him to kind of follow me around a couple days and just rip out some vlogs, which is completely against everything I want to do. Like I just said, I hate being in front of the camera, and now I've got this, the selfie stick camera like this, and my wife comes down the stairs, and I've got the camera in her face, and she's like, "You stop." Right. So that's the next avenue.
And so if it's something that's like against everything you're doing now, why is vlogs the next step? Why is it in a different type of content?
Because I want to challenge myself in to do it. If it fails, that's fine. But I want to challenge myself to be a personality. I want to challenge myself to grow within social media. And to be honest, I can't make a 15-minute long ASMR video of a car. There's just no way of doing it. People are going to be like, "This is the most boring video ever." So I'm trying to give people like a behind the scenes of like my daily life. I do kind of have a really cool job, and I'm around luxury cars. I create content for a living. I make my own schedule. I have a family, and I think that people really want to see that. I get a lot of questions about, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, I'm still kind of figuring that out. I know what I do on a daily basis, but like, I don't know really what my job is.
Is ultimately like somewhere you want to take it is like, I don't know if test driving is the right word, but like taking the cars out for like a good and proper spin, like seeing how fast they can go. You know what I mean? Like, is that somewhere you want to take it?
That's definitely concepts that I've, talked with my team about, doing, launches and driving off road and doing some stuff like that. Now I do have the dealerships are my clients, so I can drive the cars and I can take them kind of out and whatnot. But to off road $500,000 car probably isn't the best image of me. Probably not the best idea. So uh, being able to work with these manufacturers, the brands themselves, is going to allow me to do a lot more stuff that I haven't been able to do. At the same time, they're also hiring me to do the content I'm known for. So they're like, "Hey, don't switch it up. If you want to test stuff, go ahead." So, but yeah, there's some people on social that I'm like, "Wow, that is a really cool idea," or "I'd love to be able to do that," or I'm definitely starting to game plan for the next stage.
I kind of want to jump back to the now what like you said, like that's your approach now. Was that always your thought process when when videos would pop off or not pop off, or like did you have to get to that?
Without knowing it, I think that's been my mindset since I was like small. Um, I went to school. It's like, cool, now what, right? Like I'm like, I didn't graduate. Everyone's like, you need your degree. You need why would you not go back and have 12 classes? I'm like, for what? Like to be a better server at a restaurant or to get a job in a cubicle? Like that's not me. I would rather die. Like that's not me at all. So I kind of, without knowing it, I've always just kind of been never fulfilled with. what I've been doing. I've always wanted the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And I don't know if that's a detriment to myself or a motivator. I don't know.
Okay, so what does the day to day look like now? Like you're not in a cubicle, obviously, like because you're running your own company. So like, what does that look like?
So my baby loves to not sleep. So I'm up at usually three, four, or five, sometimes all three. I would get up and start making a bottle at 6 ish. We start doing breakfast. I have my crazy dog. I let him out. He gets his toothbrush in the morning. I have to put that in there because that's like my dog's favorite thing. And then my wife leaves for work. She's a teacher at the local schools here. And then I kind of go, okay, I'm going to go to the dealerships. It's about 9 a.m. at that point, and I just walk the campus. I see what's new, what's not. Sometimes there's like a crap ton of cars. Sometimes there's nothing for like 3 months. Especially when COVID hit, it was like we were getting nothing. So I kind of have creative ruts. Sometimes I'm super creative. Just kind of depends. It's funny that my videographer was actually like, dude, like, why don't you like go golfing or do this or that? And I'm like, I would love to go, but like I feel like I never have time. He's like, dude, you make your own schedule. I was like, that's true. I guess I do, but if I'm not creating, if I'm not working, like then my views fall, then my clients fall, then you know, so I'm pretty strict when it comes to like making sure work is first before um, my personal like hobbies. But so I'll stay there till about two or three. My babysitter leaves, and then my wife comes home about then, and then we start kind of the night routine. Dinner. Usually, I'll take my dog on like a 45-minute run, which is not nearly enough for him. He would like to run a marathon per day, um, and that's it. Then repeat, repeat, repeat.
How do you find time to take breaks then? As someone who's also there's the pressures of your own social media and then all of your clients' social media. Plus, yeah, like where do you just find the time to take breaks?
I don't. I don't. That's my biggest downfall for sure. My family would agree with that. There is no off mode. We just took a vacation. I'm on my phone constantly, and yeah, actually, I was listening to this podcast with Casey Neistat, and which is super crazy that I just got put on to him because he's like the goat of vlogging. But he was saying, he's like, I do nothing now. And he was like, I literally do nothing because my entire time is consumed up with my wife and my kids because I didn't give them the adequate time when I was creating and building. So finding that balance, and I think lately I've been really thinking about it more, but finding that balance is so hard because I don't really take breaks. I love, drinking beer and tequila at night, but um, yeah, I'm on my phone. I'm like, oh man, this video did well, or this one didn't. I'm looking at Rolls, Aston, Mercedes, Porsche, Maserati, Bentley, my own stuff, my Facebook, my TikTok, my YouTube, my Snapchat. I can't even keep up. And then like as soon as I wake up, repeat. It doesn't matter what you did yesterday.
And is your Facebook doing well? I usually when I have people on here, Facebook is not one of the platforms that gets brought up too often.
I love Facebook. I absolutely hated it for like 8 years, but I love Facebook now, mainly because they're paying. They're paying creators now. I got invited to be a part of their like bonus program, and I got to say, it pays a lot better than TikTok, their creator fund or whatever. Uh, it's been awesome because everybody's competing right now. Everybody, even though Facebook owns Instagram, they're competing. You got Snapchat and you got TikTok and now YouTube Shorts, and it's like literally the best time to be a creator because everybody is competing and they all want to pay you to be on their platform. So Facebook has been awesome. I have 30,000 followers in 2 months. I've been doing Facebook, and I think I'm averaging about 8 million views a month right now, which is great. So,
And just for comparison's sake, you said way more money from Facebook than you are the TikTok Creator Fund. How many views are you getting on TikTok every month?
let me pull up this because probably shouldn't like say numbers, right?
You don't have to give exact numbers. You can give a range or even like a multiple. Like if you're doing 8 million on Facebook, maybe we're doing 10x on TikTok or something like that. But I just think that's interesting that you have 30,000 followers on Facebook and 1.3 on TikTok.
And when I'm making 2 to 3 times that on Facebook in 1 month, I mean, my time has been going Facebook.
Yeah. So because I don't know if there's a way to keep that in there without just bleeping the whole time. I will just kind of summarize the conversation we just had for the person listening to this, that pretty much in 2 months, you've made more on Facebook than you have your entire time on TikTok. And again, that's 2 months versus how long you've been creating on TikTok.
About a year.
About a year, right?
Yeah.
And you've already made more, probably more than double what you've made on TikTok on Facebook in 2 months.
Yeah. Actually, it's in 1 month, I'm making more than I'm making on TikTok my entire lifespan,
Which is wild.
which is nuts. Which comes to prove like who's valuing the creator right now. And for example, on YouTube, I heard they're paying creators, which is great. I haven't been invited because you have to hit 4,000 watching hours to monetize. I think I have 450,000 watching hours on YouTube, and 600 of them count because they're all shorts. They're all shorts. I have like 2 videos, like normal videos that are post after a minute, that count towards that 4,000.
Oh, I didn't realize shorts didn't count for that.
No, not even close. I don't even know.
Man.
Yeah, I'd like to pull up real time analytics if I can here.
Yeah, I had no idea that was the case.
Yeah, like my buddy Mark, he's massive on YouTube, and kind of like I said, he's my kind of confidant with everything, and he's got like 33 million watching hours. So at first, I actually thought watching hours, I was never on YouTube, meant you had to watch a total of 4,000 hours. I'm not even kidding you. I was pulling up like playlists and putting them on my TV under my account to like start. I'm like, man, 4,000 watching hours is so long. And he started dying laughing. He's like, dude, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He's like, they have to watch your content. Anyway, fantastic. How many watching hours do I have? I have 15 million views the last month.
And you said you had one video a couple months ago on YouTube hit like 30 million views, right? You get 100,000 followers off one video.
Yeah. So actually I'm looking at it now. It just hit 35 million views. And it grossed me 113,000 subscribers.
What is that video?
It's the unwrapping of the Porsche GT3.
Oh, so the original video that went like mega viral.
It's not the OG. It's a new version of the OG video. But yeah, it's my friend Sebastian. He ordered this car. He's actually like one of the managers down in Naples Ferrari. This is his personal car. He used to work at the Porsche North Olmsted store, and he's like, "Hey, this car's coming in. Unwrap it." He's like, "I expect 100 million views." I was like, I don't know about 100 million, but actually, if I go across, we're at like 60 million across all my platforms of this car. So I was like, we're getting close, but yeah, 35 million views and 113,000 subscribers.
That's crazy off the back of one YouTube short that you can get that much.
Just one short. And, I've had a couple others that have hit a couple million. And I just actually pulled up my watch time. I have 613,000 hours.
Wow.
And here we go. 691 of them count towards monetization. I love YouTube. But that just goes to show you like each platform is totally different, and you have to, in order to convert followers to fans, you have to be able to work on each platform separately. So that excites me for YouTube vlogs. That's why I'm doing it. I want to be able to execute and succeed on YouTube. I think that's the best way to build your brand is YouTube. I actually think Logan Paul in a podcast, he was saying you can get 1 million followers on TikTok, but can you convert them? And can you go to YouTube and get fans? And literally that's what I'm reliving right now. And he's totally right. Like 1 million followers on TikTok means nothing. if you can't do something with them.
Have you noticed that the content that does well across all the platforms, is it usually the same videos that pop off everywhere? Or do you notice like a video that'll pop off on Instagram won't pop off on TikTok, but a video that'll pop off on TikTok won't pop off on YouTube Shorts? Like, what have you
I've
noticed?
been kind of saying this lately. I'm like, good thing I created this video. And the reason I say that is, excuse me, the video that might die on TikTok gets 30,000 views, might get 4 million on YouTube Shorts. And I'm like, wow, well, good thing I made this video. Because I make it for TikTok specifically first, and then I just kind of post it to Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. But um, there's a lot of them I'm like, okay, cool, this is going to do well across the board. And then there's some other ones I'm like, I don't know, I have no idea how this is going to do, and I just throw it out there, and then I just keep testing. But I actually am coming out this YouTube video. It's my next podcast or next vlog where I'm talking about like kind of the 5 kind of steps to grow from 0 to a million on TikTok, and I think it'll be kind of cool if I can have part of this in there. It'd be sweet.
So can you share any of those steps?
Yeah, the first step for me was niching down. You have to find a niche. And I might get these out of order because now they're in my head, not on paper. But finding a niche, you have to be specific in what you're talking about. You have to know what you're talking about. Number 2 is consistency. You have to be able to post that type of content all the time. Number 3, I think, was watch time and analytics. Being able to analyze what you're doing. How do you get people to watch the first 3 seconds and then the other 30, at least half your video? 4th was content creation. Being able to execute on ideas that you have is super important. And 5, I think, was test. The algorithm's going to change tomorrow, and I've seen it. You got to test. You got to test new things. You got to just do new shit. Try to innovate. There's so much great content in the world to like be inspired by, that you can take pieces of those and just start creating your own content and just testing them.
And when can we expect this video to drop?
Let me call my editor. Hopefully this weekend. So I don't know when this podcast comes out, but I don't know what's today, the 29th, hopefully like the April 30th.
So by the time the people are hearing this podcast, we'll have a few weeks before this drops. They should be able to go to your channel now and watch it. So
yes, correct. Yeah, it'll be live. So, blow it up, right? Plug it.
100%. But dude, I know we're almost out of time here. So I just want to kind of jump to my last couple questions before we wrap up here. I thank you. I appreciate your time also. I know we're going to go a little over here with these 2 questions. But the first one being is, how often do you look back, on the whole journey, back to that kid who decided to drop out of school to, even just when you had to change the account to your name when you grew to 100K and then realized it couldn't go on in that form anymore. Like, how often do you look back on the whole journey to this point?
Lately, every day. I think about it all the time. I kind of I go past, present, future, which I didn't even know until talking about this now, but I think about the past all the time. I think about where I came from. I drive past an old apartment that I used to live in, and I think about this house that I live in now and the car I'm driving and stuff like that. And I think about that when I was single versus having a family, to everything. And then I look at the future. I'm like, oh, maybe I come out with merch, or maybe I do, this or that, or what can I do to, really provide value, or what kind of cars can I get access to? And then I look at the present, like, crap, I don't have any videos to post today. I better go create. I every day. So every day.
I know I said 2 questions, but I'm going to just jump on that. What do you do when you don't have any content? You talked earlier about like when no cars are coming in, you kind of have a creative block. How do you overcome that?
That's a great question. I think being able to execute on content every single day is draining as fuck. It is one of the hardest things to do. And I didn't know this until I spent a week in LA, and I thought, oh, I'm going to go to LA. I'm going to love it, whatever. And I would spend a week with Mark and, the other LA people. And I came back so fucking tired. I was so tired because this was before me even thinking about me TikToking or nothing. It was just me visiting friends, and we're going to, whatever. It was like 5 a.m. editing, and then 7 a.m. video, camera in your face until like 2 a.m, and then repeat. And then it was like oh crap, we don't have anything to post today or shoot today. Like, let me call him, let me call her, let's go do this. And it's like so draining. Now bringing that to my level here, it's like, crap, I don't have any, like today, literally, I have nothing to post today. And I'm starting to be okay with that. Because I need to give myself a mental break so I don't put out shit content.
That's important, giving yourself a break, because I don't think a lot of people do that.
No, they don't. I definitely do not. Starting to really think about that more though. I've been putting actually my wife started doing this for me. Putting my phone on like do not disturb at night, because I would go to make a bottle at 3 a.m. and I'd be up till fucking 6, looking at scrolling, analytics, YouTube, back to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, this and that. And I'm like, it's a vicious cycle that I'm like, then I couldn't sleep. So starting to give mental breaks, I think, is extremely important for content creators.
No, absolutely. And that's why burnout is so prominent with creators. You know what I mean? Because I don't think they know how to take that mental break. But sorry, a little side tangent there. But my last question.
I'll ramble forever.
No worries. So will I. And I'll keep asking questions. So I'll just jump to the last question here. I like to flip the script a little bit with this one. So instead of me asking the question, it's you asking the question, but it's not to me. So pretend you have a crystal ball. You can ask this crystal ball any question. You'll get the 100% honest answer. What is one question you want to know the answer to?
All right. So I've been listening to some of your podcasts and I'm like, I'm going to be so prepared for this. And I am not prepared at all. But the thing that just popped in my head, literally just a second, is will my son be proud of me for what I have done? And that's going to bring tears in my eyes because I'm a crier. But will my son be proud of me? Like, will he be like, wow, my dad's a TikToker? Like, that doesn't sound very proud to me. Will he be proud to say what his dad has done or the achievements he's kind of achieved throughout his life? I think that would be my biggest one.
I normally don't answer these questions, but I will just say I think he will be. I think he'll be very proud.
I appreciate that. You are the crystal ball. I'll let you.
There you go. But no, man, I appreciate you for taking time to jump on the podcast. I want to give you the floor now. Where can the people find you? We've kind of talked throughout, but like plug anything and everything you got right now.
Yeah. Jordan T. Sanford on mostly everything. It's Jordan Tyler Sanford on Facebook, but that's where you find me. I answer as many DMs as I can. My mom yells at me for not answering all my comments, but you have 15,000 on one video. You cannot answer all of them. That's where you're going to find me. Please, I love answering any questions. I love responding to people as much as I can. I think if you're not giving back, you're not doing it right. So that's where you find me, Jordan T. Sanford. That's it.
Awesome, man. We'll make sure everything's linked in the show notes down below so people can find it. I want to thank you once again for taking time to come on the podcast.
Yeah,
I want to thank
you so much.
Oh, of course, man. And I want to thank everybody for listening, whether you've listened the entire way through or you only listen to bits and pieces. I really appreciate you taking time to check this out. Do me a big favor. Go and follow Jordan. Like I said, I'll make sure everything's linked in the show notes down below so you can find it. If you'd like to follow me, you can find me everywhere on social media at the Jacob Kelly. Feel free to come and say hello. My DMs are always open. As always, today's podcast is powered by Surf. Thank you once again for listening. We'll talk soon.